Alright, so currently we are here in the Microsoft Excel. So we have actually here a data set which are composed of numbers 45, 67, 78, 90, 56, 78, 90, 34, 23, 56, and 89. So using this data set, we will going to use the average and AverageIF function of our Excel. So actually guys, there is a way on how we can see the average or the AverageIF function. But before I will teach you the two ways, let's try to click this first, the FX button for the formula, and let's click average here. It says here that average is actually, it returns, when using the average function, it actually returns the average, or statistically speaking, that is what we call the arithmetic mean of its arguments, which can be numbers or names, arrays, or references that contain numbers. So basically, it is just an average that we all know in our elementary days. Okay, so actually by mathematical equation or mathematical formula, average is equal to the summation of all of these numbers divided by the total count of them. Alright, so let's try to manually get the average of this data set. Let's have here 45 plus 67 plus 78 plus 90 plus 56 plus 78 plus 90 plus 34 plus 23 plus 26 plus 89 and close parenthesis. Now, we will now divide this to the total count of them. Since we have already tackled the formula count, let's now use the formula count here. So let's count and highlight B1 going to be 11. So obviously this is 11 dataset. Okay, so by division and upon entering, the answer is 64.18. Meaning to say, if we use now the average function of MS Excel, our answer must be 64.18. Okay, so let's try it. Let's have here equal sign. Just like any other formula that we have tackled before, we always use the equal sign to designate that it is a formula. You are doing an Excel formula, okay? So let's have equals, then average. Okay, and click here, drag up to the last data set, B11. Okay, then close it with closing parentheses, then enter. Okay, so meaning 64.18, 18, 18, 18, meaning we are correct. We are the same with this one. That's the first one actually, guys. This is the first one, the average function. So easy, right? The second one is just highlight this from B1 going to B11, and we will actually be see the average on the bottom part of our MS Excel, which is here. As you can see, average 64.18, 18, 18, 18. By default, it is shown below. Okay? So for the AverageIF, that is for the average function. Don't forget that, my friends, because we will be using that on our next video tutorials, and especially if we are dealing with hundreds and thousands of data in our MS Excel spreadsheet. Okay? So for AverageIF function, here, let's click this AverageIF. It says here by the Microsoft Excel that AverageIF finds the average or shows to you the average, or what we call the arithmetic mean, for the cells specified by a given condition or criteria. Meaning to say, AverageIF is a combination of average and if function. I hope you get it. We have already tackled the if function before. If you don't know it, the if function, you can actually browse our playlist regarding MS Excel tutorial and watch first the if function. Okay, so again, AverageIF is a merge of using of the average and if function. It is just an average with another condition. Alright, so as you can see here, AverageIF less than 50. Let's delete this first. So we must average the dataset, all the numbers of the dataset that is less than 50. Okay, so what are the numbers less than 50? Let's try to highlight them. Here, we have here 45. Yes, it is less than 50, so highlight. Next, we have 56. No, not included. 34, so let's highlight this. And 23, let's highlight. Okay, so by manually solving using the average function, let's try to average these three numbers. Let's have here, comma, here, and here, and close. So our answer must be 34. Here we use the average function, but the condition says that we must use the average if function. Okay, so let's try this. Equals, then average if. For the average if, you are not going to what we call this, we are not going to specify each of the numbers because it will be very tedious on our part if we are dealing with hundreds or thousands of data. Okay, so meaning to say, what we're going to do now is to highlight from cell B1 going to cell B11. Okay, then our criteria is, of course, same with our other functions. We must first use here a apostrophe. Then let's try to have less than 50, meaning the function or the formula that we are doing must average only the data or the numbers inside our data set which are below 50. Okay, so upon entering, the answer must be 34, right? Okay, let's try to click the enter button. Okay, 34, meaning we are correct. Okay, I hope you get it, my friends. That's the basic use of average and average if function. So another example, I also have here another example. I have here a property value. Let's try to zoom in. Okay, property value and the commission. So for example, this is actually used in real estate. For example, we have property value of 100,000, corresponding commission is 7,000. Property value 200,000 with corresponding commission of 14,000. Property value 300,000 with corresponding commission of 21,000. Property value of 400,000 with corresponding commission of 28,000. Property value of 500,000 with corresponding commission of 30,000. Last number, property value of 600,000 with a corresponding commission of 32,000. Now, the goal is first, we must average all commissions less than 33,000. If we do that, let's have here our formula. If we do that, the result should be 22,000. Okay, so that's actually basic. Let's have here average if, and let's highlight all those commission data, and our criteria again based on our description below 33,000 and close. Okay, so below 33,000 or less than 33,000, we got 22,000 as average, and it's actually the same. Okay, so meaning to say we are correct. Okay, let's highlight it yellow. Now, for the second description, I hope you're now seeing the value of the average if function. Now, the second task or second description, we should now get the average of all commissions with a property value greater than 350. So this time, we are dealing with two columns. We were going to average the commission, but take note of this, the another condition is their corresponding property value must be greater than 350. Okay, so meaning what we will going to do is let's have the equals average if. What we will going to highlight now is the first one first, the property value. Highlight this property value, then comma. Our rule is for the property value. The reason why we highlight first the property value because it is the description. The description says that our property value must be greater than 350, and those all property values greater than 350, their corresponding commissions must be averaged. That's why we are having first the property value. Okay, so we are having our formula backward. Okay, now the criteria, as you can see here, we are now dealing with criteria. The criteria must be greater than 350,000. Okay, then close it with parenthesis. Then next, comma, average range. This is now what will be the range of the data set that we will going to average given our criteria, which is greater than 350,000 based on our range, which is the property value. I hope you get it. Therefore, the average range now will be the range or will be the data set below the commission column. Okay, so let's highlight this up to the cell C21 and close it with closing parenthesis, of course. Then upon entering, our answer is 30,000, which is same with this one. It says that the result should be 30,000. Since we got 30,000 too, meaning we are correct. Alright. So, I hope you get it, my friends. And for the last one, we're actually done with the average. We're done with the average if. And last one, we have the average ifs with, with additional letter S. Okay, so average if. Okay. Actually, guys, the difference of average if to average ifs with an S is the average if with additional S is requiring you to have another criteria. So here we are dealing with 2 or more criteria. For average if, we're only dealing with only 1 criteria. And for average, we're dealing with no criteria. We need to average all the data sets. That's basically what average is without if. Okay, now, here we have the example for average ifs with an S. So we have the first column, student. We have Emilio, Julie, Hans, and Fred. We have first grade. We have first quiz grade, second quiz grade, and final exam grade. Okay, so the task we are currently facing right now is to have the average first quiz grade if grades are above 70 and below 90 and not incomplete. Okay, so let's have the average again. First quiz grade, which is actually this column B, and above 70 and below 90, meaning since we are requiring to have below 90, meaning to say 90 is not included, since mathematically speaking 90 is not below 90. 90 is equals to 90, but 90 is not below 90. I hope you get it. So 94, of course, not included. We have 70, since we are requiring above 70, 86 is included. Therefore, our answer must be 86. We must have 86 here, no, using our for average ifs. Okay, let's try to have it. So average ifs with an S. Let's choose the if with an S. Then let's try to highlight this since we are requiring to have average range. What will be the range that we will go into average? Of course, this B26 up to 29. Incomplete is included in our highlighting since it is part of the grade, although it is just an incomplete. Then for the criteria range 1, take note, guys, we have here criteria range 1 and we also have criteria 1. This is this is not the same, but they are connected. The criteria 1 is connected with criteria range 1. So when we say criteria range 1, this is the range where we are going to apply our criteria 1. That is also different from our average range, because the average range, this is the range that we will going to average given the set of conditions or giving the set of criteria on the next codes or on the next formula. Since the criteria range 1 or the criteria 1 which we are about to have is the here above 70, that is also applied here. So meaning to say it is also the same as the B26 going to be 29, our criteria range 1. Now our criteria 1 will be the grades must be above 70. Therefore, so apostrophe greater than 70, apostrophe again, then comma, our criteria range 2. Since we are dealing with 2 conditions, again, for the average ifs with an S, above 70 and below 90. Now, the criteria range 2, which is the below 90, is also applied on this column, the first quiz grade, since we are going to average only the first quiz grade. I hope you get it. Now, we must have here the highlight for B26 going to B29. Then, let's now input the criteria 2. Okay, so apostrophe. Criteria 2 must be below 90, less than 90. Then apostrophe again. Then, since we don't have any criteria 3, based on our description, we can now close the formula. And again, the answer here must be 86. Okay? So, I wish, Lord, the answer must be 86 here. Okay, so let's try to click the button enter. Upon entering, it must be 86. Okay. So, it must now, it is actually now 86, meaning we are correct. Okay, so last example for average if with an S. The description says that average final exam grade, let's try to average the final exam grade, don't include incomplete and must be above 50. Since we are talking that the data must be above 50, 80 is also not included. Since 80 is not equals to above 80. 80 is 80, it is not above 80 itself. Okay, and incomplete is also not included. It is actually specified here, meaning to say what we will going to average is just the 87 and 88. And by checking, it is actually 87.5. So again, our answer here must be 87.5. I just write it here for us to be reminded of for the answer. Okay, so let's have average if here with an S. Let's choose this. Then highlight our average range. Let's highlight this up to this. Again, incomplete cell is also included since it is part of our data set. Okay, so for our criteria 1, our first criteria here is actually the don't include incomplete. And our second criteria is the term must be above 80. So for the first criteria, don't include incomplete. What cell it is applied? Of course, the same with this one, D26 to D29. Okay, that is our criteria range 1. For the criteria 1, that is don't include incomplete. That must be apostrophe, then less than or greater than. This actually, this symbol, set of symbol, reminds us that this is actually not equals. Okay, so let's write here in complete. Take note of the spelling and of course the capitalization, especially the letter I at the beginning. So just like this. Okay, then apostrophe. That is our first criteria. Now, for the second criteria, it must be above 80. And where it is applied, of course, on this cells also, D26 to D29. And that is our criteria range 2. Okay, now for the criteria 2, that must be above 80. So, greater than 80. And, apostrophe and close it with closing parenthesis. Again, upon entering, the answer must be 87.5. So let's enter. Alright, so meaning we are correct. Now, sir, why did we do this if we can actually see the answer by just looking on this table? Actually, yes, we can actually solve the answer immediately. But imagine if we are dealing with huge number of data, hundreds or thousands of data, we can do it manually. That's why we need to have this formula: average, AverageIF, and AverageIFs. I hope you get it. I hope you see the detailed difference of those different MS Excel formula. And if you learn from this video, don't forget to have a comment. I learned. Thank you. Again, comment. I learned. Thank you. If you learned something from this video, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this to your friends that are currently learning the MS Excel. And if you enjoy this video, if you learn something, watch out for our next video tutorial. So don't forget to click the notification bell, my friends. So keep safe always. See you on our next upload. Bye-bye.